What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a special one, as this was a race that we did for the Nations Cup race around Barcelona, except it wasn't the chicane version, it was the non-chicane version. As heading to warm-up, decided to take out Stagger here, kind of give him a taste of what's to come on this race. As if anybody was going too slow ahead of us, we're just going to use our front bumper and send them straight to the shadow realm. You know, easy done. But into qualifying, getting 138.5 gets us into P2, but unfortunately just wasn't quick enough, as everybody else decided, hey, you know what, we want to run a bit quicker. And on my end I just decided, hey, you know what, I don't want to run quicker, and get ourselves into P8, as we're going to be starting right smack in the middle of the pack. A lot of work to do here if we want to get a good finish and gain a lot of points. So receiving our 3-2-1 here for the start of the race. Away we go as we cross the start finish line, leading our way into lap number 1 and turn number 1. Getting a nice flyover by the boys of the Spanish Brigade up ahead, and waving the Spanish flag. We head our way into turn number 1, make sure that we brake where we need to, as tires were a bit cold. Didn't want to brake a bit too late, accidentally go wide, lose a couple positions, and start off right off the bat in a bad spot, as a GT7 SMM is starting to get a little bit of taste of the cold tires here. Loses a bit of the back end into turn number 4, and as well as into turn number 5, almost losing it twice. Getting very, very lucky there. And unfortunately for us, we just weren't unable to pounce on that opportunity. But we do pounce on this opportunity as the Lamborghini ahead of us of Sir Shred, the Canadian, spins out and actually disconnects due to that mistake. And we gain a free position now as we work our way now up from P8 to P7 in one lap, one position. Not too shabby, as we now go into the hairpin, leading our way into the hairpin. Unfortunately, that sweet small victory of gaining position is just basically short-lived, as Sammy Dean decides to go into the inside, use this as a brake, smashes our left door panel, and goes on his merry way. He's able to gain the position away from us. Not the cleanest move, but we'll just continue on here, as getting too caught up on it might lead us into a mistake like how we did there, as we get a half-a-second penalty. But lucky for us, it wasn't like how it was behind, as Viceroy decided to use the Porsche as a practice here to send people to the shadow room, as he just thought that, he must have thought clearly that there was a chicane on this race, as he just goes straight to the right, spins out the Porsche, and unfortunately for the Porsche, he goes from P8 all the way to the end, basically out of this race. And not only that, there's more trouble that's being caused right behind us. SMM gets overtaken by Vice as well, and we just now have to focus on making sure that we don't get any penalties. We can just pull away from Vice, as Vice had a really, really big head of steam here. As we work our way into lap number 4, the gap was actually starting to close up from us and Vice, so it's starting to get a bit worrying and big panicky on my end, as I didn't want to be the next victim here and get sent to the shadow realm. But as we head into the final 2 corners here, the Intimidator right ahead of us did have a half-a-second penalty. Unfortunately, he ran a bit wide off the hairpin, gets another half-a-second penalty, and if my 3rd grade math is correct, 5 plus 0.5 equals 1.0. And that's what the Intimidator has now. It's going to have to serve a 1-second penalty here when we cross the penalty zone. And for us, that's going to be lucky, because we're going to get a free position, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to try to get around him here, as we're still trying to preserve the tire. So the strategy here, there was a lot of multiple strategies. We were given the softs, the mediums, and the hards. And of course, you know, the hard tires, they'll last the entire race, no problem. You can abuse them, go as fast as you can, brake as much as you can. But as you can see on the bottom left, we elected to use the medium. Now with the medium compound tire, it's a bit interesting, because you had to be as smooth as you can, not abuse them, as they can run all the way to the end. But if you just abuse them a bit too much, that they can only last basically like 9 or 10 laps, and not make it all the way to the end. So we had to be very, very smooth. If we got into a battle like how we did right now with Vice, we just kind of have to let them go, because we are on a different alternative strategy. I believe, or at least I suspected, that Vice was on the softs, as he just had a full head of pace, as the Intimidator has to serve his penalty. And although we did let Vice get ahead of us, get the overtake done, due to the fact that Intimidator had a service penalty, we were able to regain that position that we lost to Vice. And just right around here, make sure that we comfort these racing mediums and try to see if we can make them last all the way to the end. So we're right now doing all right. We only lost about maybe 30-35% of grip on them. And if we keep up this pace, we should be able to make it all the way to the end without any worries. Now, the other strategy is what Sammy Dean right ahead of us was implementing, and that was basically running these soft compound tires, coming in the pits midway through the race, and then switching on to another set of soft compound tires. Now, I was electing to try to go for that, but it would only work as if you were starting off in the front, because you can use those softs and abuse them, try to go as far as you can, try to build up a gap, come into the pits, and then try to, you know, just re-overtake some of the cars that got ahead of you and you lost position to, so as you're going to have fresh soft compound tires, the fastest compound tires. But I decided not to do that. We just wanted to go for the mediums, try to save them up and see if we can make them last all the way to the end if we get overtaken by PX7 Grocery. So at this point of the race, I was suspecting that Grocery and Vice were also doing the same strategy as us, so I was just gonna ride along right behind them. But unfortunately for Vice, he had different plans as he goes straight into the inside, then decides to turn left on the right corner. And unfortunately for him, got a little bit lost there, decided, okay, I'm going to the left, and went straight into the barrier. And that was his race over, as all that craziness right there distracted me. I went a bit wide and accidentally got myself another half-a-second penalty. So 2 half-a-second penalties in this race, not looking good on my end. So we lost a lot of time on this race so far, but did not make our way up into P8. Luck is going to start switching onto my side as heading into the hairpin. You can see right ahead of us, PX7 Grocery actually gets himself a penalty. And not only that, we were actually gaining a lot of time on him. So I was suspecting that at this point of the race, he had abused his tires a bit due to the fact that he was working his way up through the field. And as we make our way now into the middle part of lap number 9, my suspicion became a reality, as you can see now that 1.4 second gap that we had on Grocery has now gotten smashed in half, and we are now about 0.8 seconds away from him. And not only that, he's got a now service penalty. This is gonna probably be a really great opportunity for us to go for an overtake as we go onto the outside, try to sneak it, but still a bit too far back. And due to the fact that we're still trying to save tires, we had to brake very, very early so we don't go that hard on the brakes and abuse the tires. And we just allowed Grocery to fight for another day. But at this point of the race, I wasn't really too adamant about trying to race him and trying to get around him on a position and get ourselves into a situation where we can accidentally get taken out or take him out. As you can see, Manny, the 4th place driver ahead of us, was long gone. He was basically half a straight away from us, and the next car right behind us, the Intimidator, was about 4 seconds behind. So at this point, just wanted to ride around with Grove. We know we had better pace than, we know his tires were worse off than ours, so we could just stay right behind him. We can possibly go for an overtake here if he makes a mistake on either lap 10, 11, or 12. So wasn't in too much of a rush. I was just thinking strategically where would be the best way to go for an overtake, and at this point we're just waiting patiently. So throughout the entire lap number 10, we were just riding around right behind him, saving our tires. Didn't really have to push that much, but at this point you can see that how much Grocery's tires were starting to fade here, as we were just staying right behind him basically effortlessly, due to the fact that we just had better grip. I mean, he's not a slow driver, don't get me wrong, he's very, very quick, but just unfortunate for him that his tires were basically done for the race. And as we get a really great run off the final corner, we get onto the slipstream, shift it all the way to the right hand side by side down the straight, leading our way into turn number 1. We're going to try to brake as late as we can so we can finish the move, but Grocery was not going to hand it to us that easily, as he stays onto the outside, turns into the inside for him, and side by side to turn number 1 and 2, we were able to keep it on the inside onto turn number 3. And lucky for us, we weren't in the marbles. We were able to take the optimal racing line, get back onto the throttle early, and now we find ourselves into P5. But the work is still not over here. We still had to survive this final lap. Now you can see on the bottom left, the front left tires were basically all but gone. And there was about maybe 5-10% left of the tire life. And once that bar basically depletes and it turns into a full red, your tire basically goes into a puncture mode where it does not turn. So since it's the front left tire, all of our right corners are going to be terrible and we won't be able to turn to the right, especially on these high speed corners. And due to that, we just had to be very careful with this final half of the lap. It was going to be very, very treacherous, and I was really scared about that. But as we come out of the final 2 corners here, lucky for us, the tire held its form and we were able to make it to the end just barely, with just a smidge left of the white, and get ourselves a P5 on this very challenging race with a lot of quick drivers. And we got ourselves a really good amount of points here for our Nations Cup standings, finishing right ahead of Intimidator, SMM, and unfortunately for Grove Street, he did lose his tires right at the end, lost 3 positions, and finished in P8. But yeah, a very interesting race. I had a lot of fun with this one. I'm really excited to see what Polyphony can do with these races now that we have a brand new tire model and physics model. But if this is how majority of the races are going to go, I'm all for it. It's a lot of fun keeping an eye on your tire wear, but not only that, having to fight with everybody else and just thinking, all right, what is the right move for this situation? Am I gonna let this car go, or am I gonna fight and possibly risk the using up all my tire wear and not having any tire towards the end of the race? So really enjoying this new update. But let me know what you guys think about this race. If you guys really enjoyed the video, feel free to smash that like button or that subscribe button down below if you want to catch more content. And since you guys made it all the way to the end, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Peace.